All right, and it looks like we're getting started. Beco here going into Brightman. Prisi, yep, starting here as well. There's a little gap between their starts, but that'll be synced up here in a second. But we got Beco going right into Brightman and Prisi doing the same. Fast, did you want to talk about the differences in the routes?
Yeah, sure. So you basically only have two different routes that you'll see in this game, and it generally just affects the first two stages. You can either go with Pharaoh or Bright first, but you're going to do the other stage second, so we're going to get the first two stages knocked out. Pharaoh first is generally considered more of an RTA route. It's a 5-6 seconds faster maybe, but a lot more difficult. And what we see from people in the tournament is they usually play it safer, so it ends up being basically the same. Both are really good routes for a tournament, so we're going to see them both do Bright. The reason why we want to do these stages first is they have powerful weapons to get early on, and the bosses are good to busters, so it's a good place to start.
For sure, not getting too bad of luck here from the crickets. Prisi catching up nicely. Let's go ahead and
here we go.
Yep, should be yep, there we go. The sync all lined up.
Really close.
Yes, I'm very excited. I mean, Prisi, I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, has the world record for Mega Man 1 through 6, like a consecutive like single segment playthrough of all 6, and I'm sure that getting to that level demands a lot of consistency throughout just all of the game.
Yeah, he does indeed, and yeah, he's one of the most consistent runners. He learns games really quickly. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and he's top tier in just about every Mega Man game he's ever played. Very close. Good fights for both.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. We saw Prisi take out Brightman a little closer to the center of the screen, but I think Beco had a slightly faster fight, even though they looked like... but they were both generally towards the center of the screen there, which is what you want, because the victory fanfare won't start playing until all of the boss's energy is off screen. So the closer to the center you can get, typically the faster that will happen.
Yeah, so now I get to go into Pharaoh with Brightman's weapon, the Flash Stopper, and we're going to see a lot of Flash Stopper in this run. You guys are all probably familiar by now, but you get scorpions popping out of the sand here, you get the little bees up top dropping bullets on you, but with Flash Stopper, none of that happens. You just have a calm little slide chain session through the sand. Don't have to worry about getting sniped by a bullet going over this pit as we go over to get the balloon, which you're also going to see a lot of in this run.
Definitely with the balloon, I think it's a very iconic item for this game for how it's used. It's very visually entertaining, very fun to do, and saves some good time. So both the Flash Stopper and the balloon are going to see a lot of play in the 8 Robos especially, and then balloon is definitely going to we'll see some cool balloon stuff in the castle stage.
Yeah, absolutely.
So already what they're trying to do is hop on these guys so they don't shoot the little bullets out the sides of their head. There's some lag going on in this game when there's too much action happening on screen. So lag mitigation is part of the strategy for a lot of these stages. You'll see it in Dustman trying to take out some enemies as soon as they come on screen, as well as pick up the drops they get, or hope they don't drop anything at all. So there you'll see some little optimizations there to save on the lag.
Yeah, this one and Mega Man 3 in particular are really built around just trying to remove sprites from screen and reduce lag as much as possible. A lot of the improvements that have been found over the last few years are, reducing lag as much as you can.
Actually, a very brief story. I had a buddy pick up Mega Man 3, and he started with Top Man. He went in blind, and he messaged me saying, "I have a broken copy of the game. I don't know what I did, but I need a new one." And I told him, "No, that's just the game."
Well, Pharaoh was pretty generous to both of them. Just kind of hanging out there. Oh, Prisi gets the skip.
Very nice.
You can see that puts him in the lead right there. So that's You've seen at the end of fights, they kind of tiptoe towards the middle. If you're in the precise middle, you get a magic pixel, and it skips part of the teleport animation, or the weapon get animation. But in 2 stages in particular, you're able to jump to the middle early, and it'll skip even more of it. It saves like an extra second and a half, I believe. And that's what Prisi got, and it caused him to catch up and pass beco there. Well, I guess they're about even again.
Yeah, this is wild. I wonder if this is what we'll see throughout the whole thing. I hope it doesn't become easy to take it for granted how insane it is that they're at this level. We're going to see some RNG coming up in the next, especially I think in Dustman with the drops and the lag and anything, just some minor alterations with that stuff can create a little bit of a difference, especially for runners at this level that are capable of playing at this level of sync, that the little bits of RNG could really make all the difference for them.
Yeah, it's been pretty amazing throughout this tournament, with as RNG heavy as this game is, how much sync we've had in a lot of these races, even, late into it.
This is just insane.
The skill of these levels, of these players, is just incredible.
It's very interesting, especially, for me, I'm pretty young in speedrunning. But, since this started, it's just been fascinating to me to see these players come back and crush this game. And it's exciting for me as well, because I feel like I'm kind of on the precipice of that sort of effort and insight and method for practice and observation. So it's just super cool to see all this stuff happening for this game and people even slightly rerouting it behind the scenes. But yeah, it's just absolutely amazing to see runners of this caliber do what they do.
Absolutely. So we saw Prisi had to take a back deboost against that last mini boss. He was short on health. He was kind of farming for drops there, but didn't get one. Let's see if beco uses the strat here for... Okay. When you have more than 4 health, you can actually deboost one of his rings and make the fight slightly faster, but not everybody does that. But yeah, still really close. beco's got a lead by about a second. Can't ask for a much better race than this. We're going into a really difficult stage here, though. Dust is pretty scary.
What was their split time out of ring? I think it was shortly after 7. I mean, shortly after 7 or slightly before is just like, top level. So in race especially, and to be matched like this is just very...
Yeah, it's what I come to expect from these two. It's way more surprising when I see them make large mistakes. Just that's the level of consistency they usually bring to these tournament races.
Yeah, you're a veteran, so this I might be marveling, but oh, beco!
No, yep, that's on me.
Interesting. So, yeah, that's pretty rough. But taking a first screen death is usually, if you're gonna die, somewhere towards the beginning or slightly after check what you want. But ooh, nasty. I think that was the same pit. So we'll see what happens here. That's definitely an interesting development. This is a best of 3 as well, so it really could go either way. Of course, the runners they hope for a sweep, but as a spectator, getting 3 matches is always pretty interesting.
Yeah, we'll see what. I mean, this race is definitely not over, and then yeah, of course, that being a best of 3, we got a lot of race ahead of us still. It's kind of interesting there, because both go with Bright first, which is the safer route. We see Prisi go with the safer strat in Dust here, using Flash Stopper as opposed to Pharaoh. Pharaoh faster, but Flash Stopper is a lot easier to manage that first screen in particular. So just, I don't know, one of those, you see small route deviations from each runner, and there it definitely made a big difference.
For sure, I think knowing what you want to do, especially in a race setting, is very smart. That's something I should probably be a little aware of. Prisi, I believe, getting some good action out of Dust. I didn't see a suck over there.
I think there was one.
Okay, cool.
But not too bad. He got the kill in the middle. Ooh, sliding under that Stomper is really difficult.
Nice.
Yeah, you don't want to see that suck pattern from Dust. We'll see that again in the refights. Probably even more important in the refights.
Yeah, for sure. The only way to stop Dust when he's doing that is to bonk him with your body, which in this game takes about 8 health. Well, not about, it takes 8 health. Pharaoh 6. So in the refights especially, you have a fight after Dust, so taking a bunch of hits from him can be very problematic very quickly.
Yeah, not to get too
So
far ahead of ourselves, but we're actually going to see, I think, different refight routes from the runners depending on how the castle stages go, which one will do Dust first.
he's been working on some alternative refights, or have they
There's
both?
I don't know what Beco's going to do, to be honest with you. I haven't seen a lot of his runs lately, but there's been a lot of activity surrounding this game recently in terms of routing your ammo in the castle stages and the refights. So be curious to see how that goes for both runners.
Yeah, since the tournament, there's been just a lot of cool investigation like that. Slurpee, when the tournament was first starting, we were practicing, and he was poking around in Wily 2, and it ended up, resulting in Baron doing a whole strat comparison of using balloons in Wily 2, and it was super cool. And as Baron put it, Mega Man 4 is like a graveyard for almost usable strats that are super cool. Not
Yeah.
quite there.
One of those things you see when a tournament comes to a game is just all the people playing it simultaneously. You end up finding a lot of strats to push the game forward, and definitely Mega Man 4 has been the recipient of that over these past couple months. I mean, first of all, we've seen the world record come down by a considerable margin. But also the strats have just gotten quite a lot faster, and there's been discoveries, throughout the game. It's been fun to watch.
All right, so Skullman fight is there's a lot of fights in this game, thankfully, that are pretty consistent. Skullman being one of them. The only variation you get is the Skull Shield, which can go about a medium one, not too long, not the fastest, but definitely not the long. And here we head into Dive. Dive's a little tricky because you can't jump out of slides underwater. The only way to get that is to do a cancel, which can be tricky in this game. In Mega Man 6, he comes to a full stop, which I think is a little bit easier to work with than in this, where he goes left. You might feel different fast. I'm pretty new, so. But there's a foreground tile on Mega Man that prevents that. Same with ladders. If you're on a ladder, you can't jump out of a slide. So taking a little cancel there, as you saw. For some runners, pretty manageable. Saves a little bit of time here.
Yeah. We kind of see a lot of the runners that are familiar with Mega Man 6 be a lot more comfortable putting the cancels in here, since that's a main component of that speedrun.
Sure, I believe it was Vader and I were watching Pot Dot just practice the stage, and he was doing the cancels like it was nothing. And Wader asked how he felt about it, and he said, "I don't." He was just like, "I don't feel anything. This is what I do every day, all this."
To that extent, someone like prisi, who has run all 6 of these games at a high level, it's interesting that you can, when you bounce around games, you go back to an old game and realize that you maybe have a skill set that you didn't have before when you were playing this game, and you can add new tech or be more efficient at tech that you used to struggle with. At least I've noticed that.
Yeah, I've had it recommended to me by higher level runners to just improve. For instance, like mashing, I've had it recommended to me to play Mega Man 3 because of a lot of the input and action going on there. prisi getting the quick collect on the fight as well.
Yeah, he got them both. He's having quite a run here. Beco's obviously played really well, but with the exception of those couple deaths have set him back. But otherwise, he's been right with him.
Right, and as you mentioned earlier, and still true right now, there's still quite a bit of run left. So there's a bit of RNG. I don't think that just the RNG alone would patch them up at this point, but there is just a lot that could go down.
Yeah, it probably will take a death or some combination of misfortune. But there's Mega Man 4 is a scary game. A lot of places to die in this one. Not that I'm wishing death on anybody, but we'll see what happens.
All right, Drillman's pretty fun stage, I think. Pretty consistent, some really tight freezes with the turrets. It's something you can get consistent for sure with practice, but I feel like when I was learning the stage especially, there were a lot of moments that were really anxiety-inducing during runs that took some familiarity to get.
Yeah, I think by the end of it, this kind of felt like one of the more consistent stages, but it definitely, I don't know, getting to that point takes some time for sure. This last screen in particular.
Yeah, it's fun. I like that last screen. I like that it's a nice little test of your movement. It's a good little boost when you can get through without doing a second freeze. Typically we'll unfreeze around that pit, as we saw with prisi. That's a pretty common point for it to unfreeze, either slightly before or slightly after.
Alright, well let's see what kind of drill patterns we get here. So far, so good for prisi here. Wow. Wow, that's a great pattern.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hopefully we see similar for beco here.
Yeah, not only no extra dives, but he was also jumped around a bit and didn't lag too much with those drill bombs. Not as fortunate.
I think it's slightly over 4 seconds, like maybe like 4 1/3 or so that it wastes. And unlike dust, there's nothing you can do about it. So it's
Yeah, also got the kill in the corner there, so you know, probably 5+ seconds there difference between him and prisi just from luck. Probably another second from execution. A lot of time adds up. And oh, sorry, go ahead.
The Toad stage is the last we're going to see of the Flash Stopper. You just don't find utility for it in the castle stages, unfortunately. But this it's a pretty fun stage. Just nice, easy, fun movement. The water can mess you up a little bit with the way it pushes you and pulls you. But fairly easy to work with and pretty fun to do. Cool boss skits too with the snails. You freeze them on the way down. You can deboost and make it through them.
Saw prisi cut out a few slides there in that kind of scary waterfall section. You know, race strats are definitely, everybody kind of has a different idea of what race strats means, but it's always interesting to see how runners decide to approach a tournament race versus PB attempts. Like the drop at the end of that little waterfall section is pretty scary. We saw beco take that a little safely as well. But yeah, prisi has a really clean Toadman stage, and we'll see how this boss fight goes. Hopefully he can nail it. Obviously, Toadman is just about the easiest robot master in the entire series, if not the easiest. So prisi with a what was that, like an 1811 teleport? Very good A robots. beco has a clean stage as well. We'll see how far behind he is after 8 robots and how much ground he's going to have to make up. Alright, that's going to be like a 41 or a 42, so we're looking at about 30 seconds. Which is definitely within the range of one death. There are a lot of 30+ second deaths that you can take in the castle stages. But yeah, prisi obviously has been discussed in the chat here. He's on good pace. Low to mid 37 pace for sure. And here we are onto Cossack 1. Really fun stage. First screen, we're going to see a lot of just movement and mashing, trying to kill these 6 HP slinkies. And then the checkpoint screen is a really tight movement test as well, which we're going to see right here. And then after all that, you get a fun little difficult triple balloon strat, which every runner seems to do a little differently.
Yeah, that room, there's a lot that can happen in there. For me, it's still quite a nail-biter. There's pretty consistent strat you can do that I try to take, and it's similar to the ones that you see other people do. The fastest one versus my strat's almost a whole second faster.
Yeah, it's insane, though. Okay.
Pretty nice.
Yeah. That's like kind of an intermediate type strat there, and it, pretty safe. So really nice stage for prisi. Continues to just churn through stages without mistakes. Beco needs to use an extra balloon there, it looks like.
Moth fight pretty decently for...
Oh no! That's a big worry in that room, is you catch a diagonal and grab a ladder accidentally. Especially with the fastest strat, that's a real concern.
Recovers nicely, though, I believe, correct there. I'm checking because of my mishap at the relay, but I mean, he goes right to Rush Jet, recovers nicely, doesn't mess around with the balloon ammo he's going to be using later. As we see with prisi coming to Cossack 2. Not too bad once you're familiar with the stage. Very tightly routed, though, with the ammo for balloon and for the health. Slight mistakes can have you change a bunch of different strats that you want to do. At least, for me, like when I lose extra health, the whole square machine fight feels a little different.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, he's going for this one. Nice. He does a little damage-less strat there. It's a little bit faster. Okay. So this is a pretty familiar Cossack 2 balloon routing. So we're probably just going to see the standard here, but there's been some discoveries here that have opened up some different routing potential for the castles. Oh no! Are we in game over territory here? Did he pick up one up? Okay.
Brutal.
Better to get that in the first half of the stage than the second.
For sure, yeah. This is a stage that taking a game over, like right before checkpoint or in Square Machine himself, is just such a bummer. We don't get any boss checkpoints, so especially losing to a boss is just very, very punishing.
Yeah, we just saw beco. The balloon is pretty generous about kind of clipping you up onto it. You don't need to jump above it to land on it, but he was a little bit too low to land on the balloon. And it's one of those things, like, you don't really think about it, but when you're optimizing movement, you really do try to cut those things as tight as possible, because any moment you're in the air, you're not sliding, and sliding is the fastest thing you can do. Proceed with a 3-2, which actually saves time on his PB. It still is not great.
beco having a little bit of trouble with the move there, ends up with 1 health, can still manage the fight.
Oh, was it 3? Well, then he tied his PB. I missed it. Yeah, 1 health here. He's gonna have to do a damageless fight here.
Yeah, I typically take a deboost against square, like jumping into him, so that way you can keep a tight.
Yeah, it depends on what pattern he gets here. I always found the 1 and 3 pass, like if you're going from the left side, it's a little easier to get 5 hits damageless. But trying to do it from the right side, I don't think I ever figured that one out. So we'll see what he does here. He may just go safe and just take 4 hits.
This fight, once you get used to the way it fires, you can get pretty familiar with guiding its shots. It's unfortunate to have to improvise because of the way you need to, means to get that 2 cycle. Yeah, it's you can kind of get a feel for when it's going to be shooting and where you need to be to make it shoot. And prisi working through Cossack 3 now. Not too much you can do. It's the auto scroller. There's some lag you can control by limiting your movement.
Yeah.
And as Fasta said earlier, I mean the slides and the jumps, like optimizing those little things like that, can really make a difference as you're tightening up your game. That was definitely a big change for me. I was working on the first screen of Bright, trying to get down to that 7-second 40 frame, and just from that work of spending so much time on that, I think it changed how I played the rest of the game in terms of really, really being tight. So it can make a huge difference for sure.
it's kind of eye-opening in sliding mega when you realize just how much movement matters. Because people like to talk about the fancy stuff, arrows in 5, balloons in 4, mashing in 3, but it really, in all those games, even with slide canceling in 6, like just slide chaining and keeping your jumps tight is going to save you more time than anything else by like a pretty significant margin.
Sure, that was definitely the eye-opening is exactly what I would say. It definitely felt like, you know, because as I was getting better and better, my frame of reference is my only speed game. Wasn't so good to realize how much more I could do. So there were times where I'd feel like, oh, I'm coming to a wall, and then just with a little bit more lab work and insight, I'd realize, oh no, like there's still much to do.
Yeah, there's basically an infinite ceiling on sliding mega, which is what makes them so fun to run. You're never done. There's always more improvement you can make. We're so far from task movement that it's you can just continue to work on it, and there's always improvements to be made.
And we got prisi taking out cockroach twins.
Yep.
It's a fun fight. It's also one of the consistent fights in the game. It's a cool little swag strike as you take out the top one and send the shot down to the bottom one and hit the...
Yeah, uneventful C3. Notably, prisi did pick up the ring ammo, so he's not doing his PB attempt refight strat in this run.
Which is it more difficult? I actually haven't seen it too much myself.
So what prisi does needs basically perfect ring ammo. You can't miss anywhere. You can't miss any dust, and you can miss one ring, but only in refights, I think. Or something like that. So you end up skipping the refill in Cossack 3 and saving time, and you can do a faster refight route. But yeah, if you miss anywhere, you're going to be losing a lot of time.
So I'll do the balloon back there. That's kind of cool. Normally you see people, and I would imagine, especially in this setting, going for rush coil. It's a bit slower, but I think easier to work with for sure.
Yeah, missing the balloon there can be pretty costly, especially if you're not familiar with what the backup is and the bats start swarming you.
And we're at Cossack.
For anybody that doesn't know, when you slide, you interrupt his movements, so you'll see him trying to slide around just to stop Cossack from performing actions. Towards the end of this fight here, he throws the bullets, and that's usually the trickiest part of this fight. Is at some point you have to be aware of when that can happen, because it's dependent upon canceling his patterns and all that. And we see beco using coil there, as you alluded to earlier. Prisi's still on a really good run here. This is very, very incredible tournament race. See what his Wily stages end up looking like.
And I find that the Wily stages, to me, mostly feel just a little bit easier than some of the stress you go through in the Cossack stages. In Wily 1, there's a lot of ways to make little mistakes that definitely add up, and some ways to die. But I find this stage and Wily 2 similar. Lots of like easy mistakes to make throughout the stage, and then towards the end of it, easier ways to die.
Sure. Yeah, I would say in general the Wily stages are harder to die in than the Cossack ones. But having perfect, like Wily 1, I feel to be a really difficult stage to get everything to go right. But especially this room here that Prisi's on, that he's in the process of nailing.
Last bit of water we will see, except for the Dive Man fight. And coming in on the Yoku blocks, or as I call them, the Kozu blocks. Someone in chat said that, and I said Kozu blocks. They were like, yeah, that's what they're really called, because you always falling off of them, and I thought it was the funniest thing.
haven't heard that one before.
I hadn't either, and not since, except for me saying it now, apparently. A lot of my jokes are, there seems to be this common factor that I find them funny, and no one else does.
Prisi does something kind of kind of unique on some of these ladders. He'll fire as he gets to the top of it, which stops the tiptoe animation you normally get off a ladder, which allows you to slide sooner. I know he uses it in a couple places to try to set up more comfortable slide chains for him. And the last room there in Wily 1 is one of them, although you missed a slide after that. But again, just like little things you see top runners do differently. That's kind of fun.
Like that kind of interesting. I think that insight is really cool. I remember watching Chelney messing around in the practice ROM not too long ago in Toadman in the second screen, and he was just doing different kinds of movement that was intentionally to make a movement later in the screen much easier. And I thought that was an interesting, because I had always focused on, okay, like, make it tighter, tighter, tighter. And he was pretty much doing the same sort of thing, but making it way easier for himself. And I thought that was...
Yeah, absolutely. I get a kick out of watching people practice, and the spread of the practice ROMs that we've seen, where you can see your frame data or whatever your frame times for screens, and you can kind of see what making a minor change, like what kind of impact it has and what you want to go for and all that. It's really fun seeing people puzzle that all together for themselves. I think the practice ROMs with room timers have contributed quite a lot in lowering, world record times and all these classic mega games.
For sure, I think it's a great learning tool to just have that immediate feedback for whether or not something you're doing is better for you. I think as you improve, your insight gets better, and is for that kind of thing. And I feel like that's what you see with a lot of high-level runners, is their method for practice and for observing what works and what doesn't is very keen, and I think that helps them learn other games quickly.
So I don't know if prisi normally skips those single block slides in a race, but he may just be aware of how far he is ahead and trying to avoid deaths, which definitely would be smart here, trying to protect his lead. But yeah, we saw him skip the single block slides. Ooh. He's having a time there. I think we still see beco go for drill in these races. So you saw the alternative there of using ring, which is a much more difficult fight, but faster if you do it correctly.
Yeah, I see beco and Ohan as well. I see them take some safer strats for the sake of consistency, which is good. And I suppose prisi does as well. And I think maybe that's an interesting thing to note out of our finalists, is a lot of them have they know when to play it safe, which is good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, maybe not for everybody, but I think having a different mentality for races than you have for PV attempts is probably the way to go. But what that is different for each person, because changing your strats up to something that you're less practiced on, it can be safer, but it might not be safer for you. So you have to, know what works for you and what doesn't.
It's switching to Pharaoh there for a brief moment. Taking dust into Pharaoh, that's something I learned about in learning the game, was that there's such a thing as soft weaknesses, which are still better than Buster, but not quite their actual weak.
Yeah, Pharaoh's an awkward one because his weakness is Flash Stopper because it freezes him, but then you all have to do 1 damage with the with the bullets, and he has his normal iframes, so that's a really slow way of taking him down.
I actually really like this this refight, and mine I actually stole from you. I remember me and Gare were working on refights, and he showed me a clip of your refight that lets you get the 7 hits on Bright if you choose.
Yeah, I don't know if I would recommend that strat to anybody, but I'm glad somebody does it.
I thought I love that kill of the missile and him at the same time at the end, and I was like, oh, that's beautiful. And so I sometimes go for the 7 hits, but It's pretty dangerous, and to make it fast, I mean, it has to be like perfect.
Yeah, it's again one of those things that it probably shouldn't be done, but it's it's an option, and it is faster if it goes correctly.
Drill, come on.
That's our boy. Oh man,
And then,
he's getting revenge for that first fight.
to Toadman. You'll see at times as well, you'll see them bonk the ceiling when they do jumps, so that way they fall fast. When you touch the ceiling with your head, I think it gives you the fastest fall speed immediately, if I'm not mistaken. Or at least maybe accelerated. I am not entirely sure.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how that works, but I know in 4 and 5 that bonking your head on a jump, on a ceiling, definitely accelerates your fall speed.
Something to know too is Brightman, he won't freeze you. He only freezes you at 16, 8, and 4 health. So the way that they do this fight is it's set up so that way he's never at those values.
Oh, dust.
Wow.
Well, luckily he had full health, huh?
Yeah, I mean, that's brutal, but I mean, he handled it well. He's heading into Machine with enough health to make it through. In the second form, actually, if you're fast and consistent with your shots, you can kill him before he kills you, even if you're taking hits and using those iframes to maintain consistency.
Sure. I love that drill finish on the first phase. Such a quirky thing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I think what's happening there, if I understand it right, is that explosion that lingers from the drill is damaging the second form, and it interrupts that life fill, but it retains the damage, so when you hit him with the drill again, it appears as if you've done double damage, but you're kind of just going in for your second hit, technically.
Yeah, it's really cool how these games have so many just kind of quirky things like that. Because every game has a just weird things you wouldn't expect. Oh, beco. You see what happens when you don't have the life.
Yeah, brutal.
Alright, prisi coming up on his ending here. Definitely, mid 37 pace. We'll see what kind of pattern he gets from Wily. His main concern here, if he wants to win the race, is just make sure he doesn't run out of Pharaoh.
Double hit here to wrap it up.
So this is his last Pharaoh shot here. And there it is.
It's at 37-42. GG, very nice.
GG. Very strong run to open it up. But I wouldn't be surprised if you might even need a better time to win the next one.
Yeah, both these earners are capable of pulling times like this on the regular. And I mean, like I was saying earlier, Prisi's been like just knocking out these 37 2Xs when his runs have been going, solid for him. So, and beco's like that too. So the second match could be crazy.
Yep, first one to get the nerves out, and should see the best from the runners next.
So kind of beco gets here. The locations that Capsule appears are fixed, so it's a bit like whack-a-mole where he'll pop up and you just gotta hit him when you can. Gets a nice double hit, very difficult to do, and scary if you waste ammo. It's no good for this fight, but gets him just fine.
GG. 38's still a good time, but once you're in the semifinals of a tournament of this caliber, you're probably going to need to do a little bit better. So I'm sure we'll see that next time. You see when the capsule spawns, they do like a little hop. Basically, what they're trying to do is cover as many spawn patterns as they can. Since they are fixed, you just are kind of playing the odds to try to hit as many different of the possible locations as you can during the time where he could spawn.
And beco actually made recently a cool little infographic that has like all the different Wily spots filled in, like with him on the screen. So that way, it's kind of like you can get that visual of where you need to be hopping to cover like a wide.
I actually didn't see that. Leave it to a beatless runner, though.
Oh, true. Yeah, because of that 5.
Yeah, gotta know your spawn locations.
Oh, he's like, I know this game. I'm not screwing around. Oh, I'm gonna figure out this immediately.
Yeah, we're not leaving this to chance.
Yeah, not too bad. beco having a little bit of trouble, but I mean, still solid runs all around. So I mean, I'm sure the second match is going to be wild, and I'm curious to see if we'll get a third race. That'd be.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. If nothing else, you know, I'm definitely expecting a close match next time. So we'll see what happens.
Not to say it wouldn't be hot if prisi just played another super good game, but yeah, either way, it's going to be something to see.
Yeah, it's easy to forget that they were basically just a second apart throughout the entire run up until beco's first death, which is only the first 7-8 minutes or whatever. But that's without the deaths, that's about how close they are. So, yeah, hopefully we see some more of that. Has there not been a match that went to game 3?
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know off the top of my head.
I'm remembering a lot of 2-0s, as Creed says. I can't think of one that went to game 3. So it looks like prisi's going to do a little bit of practice here. I'm always kind of curious about practice in between races of a tournament. Like, someone will finish a run and decide that there's something specific they want to go look at. It might be somewhere where they died in the first race, or just something that they weren't happy with how they performed, or maybe it just is something to keep their hands warm. If you're waiting, 10 minutes in between, your hands might get kind of clammy or whatever. So just seeing the approach and how people decide to spend their time in between races is interesting to me. The room prisi's practicing right there is probably one of the hardest rooms in the game to me. I could never figure that. The fastest strat out there, it's impossible. And even when I get it in practice, it would just never happen in runs. Yeah, you're seeing the practice ROM at work here. It's not perfect. There's some technical stuff that I don't quite remember that causes Mega Man 4 to have a little bit more difficulty than Mega Man 3 and 5. I think 6 has the same problem as well. But it's still extremely useful. And I think there are ways to kind of fix the graphical glitches there if you want to spend a little extra time to do so. Oh, the 6 is good? Okay. I wonder if some of that technique could be applied to 4, because that's, from my understanding, from the person that worked on the 4 practice ROM, there was something that 4 and 6 had that was unique and different from 3 and 5. Okay, well, that's good. Makes me really happy that there's practice ROMs for all the NES sliding megas. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. So we should be setting up for this next one here pretty soon. In some games, when I'm waiting for a race to start, I'll do the same thing here and do the start of the game just to get my hands used to the inputs I'll be doing when the race starts. So Becco's just playing his first stage here. Trying to think back on Prisi's tournament history. So I know he was a finalist in both the Rockman 2 and Mega Man 3 tournaments. I think he was a semi-finalist in 46 Robos. Like, he just is just so extremely consistent. He always like brings his A game to tournaments, and like I don't ever feel like Prisi leaves the tournament shortchanged. Like he gets the most out of his ability, and he's a very strong candidate to win this one. That was a great race, Vic. Gone up against Prisi in a couple tournaments, and they were really fun races. They were super close. We need another 46 robot tournament, I think. I think it's time. Oh, I think we do. Yeah, Nero won the 46 tournament. I was kind of hoping he would join this one. We got such a strong turnout for this tournament. Probably the best we've ever seen, or at least close to it. Like the amount of top runners that joined this is incredible. There's actually a prize pool for this tournament for anybody that doesn't know. I haven't seen what the breakdown is going to be, but I think last I heard it was like over $550 or something like that, which is cool. Sorry for the delay here. I think we're close. Just trying to build the suspense for you guys. Alright, looks like we're underway here. Doesn't look like they're going to need to do too much syncing with this one either. Pretty synced from the start. So with them synced from the start like this, we can kind of see the difference in grasshopper patterns. So each grasshopper can give you a small and a big jump, and you can see the grasshopper moves pretty fast on the big one. So beco got a little bit of a lead there from that last grasshopper. Prisi had to wait out an extra jump. And here we have our second instance of grasshoppers here. So same thing. We see small jumps. beco's getting, except for that lag drop, pretty ideal luck from these grasshoppers. Okay, pretty close. beco maintains about the same lead here. And you see Prisi doing his little fire at the top of the ladder strat. That's a really awkward room otherwise. Because technically the fastest way to do it is a little hop off a ladder. But if your hop is more than like a frame or two, you're going to brush up against the wall and you're going to lose the time that you're saving. Prisi's is a nice middle ground between just walking off the ladder and doing a little hop. And probably is faster in most cases, I would imagine.
Funny actually how the two safest places to be with Bright are just either extremely far away from him or right next to him. That's the way the shots.
Oh, so Prisi got hit while he was in iframes, or got frozen while he was in iframes, and so Brightman couldn't damage him, so he had to wait out the entirety of the stopper.
So when you get frozen in iframes, it maintains the iframes throughout the whole freeze.
It sure does, yeah.
Wild, I have never seen that.
Which is frustrating when you want Brightman to just hit you so you can hit him again.
Wow.
That's a pretty rare one, yeah. You don't see that much. Because he stops to freeze you, so to get hit by him during that time is unlikely. But Prisi managed it, good for him. So beco's got a little bit of a margin to work with here, just due to that unfortunate Bright fight, but man, we're within one drill pattern here, basically.
Yeah, I think it's cool for these runners that RNG is really just such a big deal. The RNG in this game is pretty damaging. I mean, it's not, crazy super wild, but with these runners, it's enough to really make a huge difference. We see, in runners who are kind of like less experienced, that sometimes, it's not just that, it's down to who might make a mistake and that kind of thing. But with either of these runners, it's easy to not, to expect the mistakes to be very small. But as we've seen, anything can happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Screen right here is pretty fun that beco's going into. It's pretty busy, but when it goes right, I think it feels pretty good.
Yeah, I like this screen. It reminds me a lot of Mega Man 3, just with how many shots you have to fire and like the combination of movement and mashing and stuff like that. Always enjoy that. It just has a good feel to it when it goes right.
Man 3 looks super fun. The screens that I've seen, I think it's Gemini Man, the first screen of Gemini Man with the penguins and the fire towers. Like every time I watch that, it's just wild.
Yeah. I think this game is the closest feeling 1 to 3. They require a lot of the same skill set. Ooh. Dan's Buster. Okay. See if Prisi gets the skip here. Wow, that's nice. Especially when you get a center kill like that and you have two bubbles that are kind of leaving the screen around the same time.
I find it easier to get when it's slightly off center, or to either to the left or the right on that top platform. It just feels easy. beco going in. I don't know if we mentioned earlier, but the balloon is pretty cool for taking a little bit of a
no.
Just like that, it's all tied up.
Yeah, one of those situations where it's kind of awkward to know what to do there when you miss your jump before the balloon, because the balloon... Oh, wow. Oh, that was a double right wall. That was fun.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. The first time I've ever seen that, I was watching New practice this game, and I saw New doing it, and I thought it was just the coolest thing.
But yeah, when you place a balloon too low and you need it to climb, it doesn't climb as fast when you're standing on it. So like you need to not stand on it while it climbs, either by like jumping up and down or just not jumping on it right away. But yeah, I don't know. It's it's a little weird how you have to rescue yourself from some of these mistakes.
Probably. Yeah, it can be sometimes it's just the worst thing, you know, depending on where you mess up and everything. But with experience, I think in practice you can know what to do. Not that I would know, but
No, I mean we don't really make mistakes, so I don't have to worry about backups too much. But
exactly.
for
Actually,
for other runners.
I would love to get a shirt with a quote from you. Actually, that is, I only know 2 speeds: fast or recent. that is a way of.
Yep, it's just a way of life. So we have a reverse situation from the first race here, where beco doesn't have enough to do the quick deboost here, so he has to wait, and prisi will be able to go right through. With all the chaos that happened in that stage, and with prisi's crazy bright fight, we're still pretty close here.
Right. So far, it's interesting because it's not the best so far for either of them, but it's just enough to definitely make it tight. Which, you know, from a viewer perspective is cool. Sometimes that's what I try to imagine in my events where lead changes happen or I make a big mistake. I'm like, at least it's, you know, good watching. I suppose I suppose as far as lead changes go.
Yeah, mistakes can be very entertaining. But in the end, all we want is a close race.
For sure. Yeah, you know, it's always nice. You always want the runners to play to the best of their ability. I suppose for me, it's like mental strats to stay positive.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. The mental aspect of speedrunning is extremely important.
Sure. I think one of the coolest things about speedrunning is it increases your tolerance for failure. In order, you know, maintain during times or it's not like how you want.
Speedrunning is steeped in failures. So you gotta grab onto the successes where you can and build on those.
Sure. I think it's interesting as like a competitive thing to do. It's a lot like mountain climbing. I feel like a lot of runners just want everyone else to succeed and, you know, make it as far up the mountain as they can. Into the crusher room. This is another one that's really cool visually and really fun to get through. That little Indiana Jones style slide at the end where you just barely make it.
I like that description of it. It's like it's like the first thing anybody notices about this stage that hadn't like learned the game themselves, because it looks so scary. Because the thing actually like touches your head, but unlike the Mega Man 5 Crusher, this one has a little bit more tolerance there, where it can squeeze you a little bit, and you're actually waiting for that. That's like your visual cue.
Yeah, for sure. It's deceptive. When I was first learning, a little ring coming out for beco there. It's deceptive because when you're first learning it, you know, it's so scary. You want to go fast. You want to, you know, think you want to move a little earlier than you need to try to make it through, but that actually gets you killed or stuck in a pocket. So, but yeah, I mean, visually it is super cool. There's a lot of strategies in this game, I feel like, that they look hard to do, but then in practice, actually, they're pretty nice. Like the balloon wall jumps, even though you don't see the balloon, it's there for about 10 to 12 frames when you're putting it in the wall like that. So there's a lot of room to get on it and jump on it. And it sucks you up too, as fast as I was mentioning earlier. It pulls you right up to the top of it if you're under it. So
yeah, balloon jumps feel so good for that reason.
It's definitely a case of where it's easier than it looks, I think. So there's a lot of runners, I think, that avoid the balloons for that reason. They don't even try them, and then when they finally put them in there to run, they're like, "Oh, this isn't so bad." So the only little zip that we see usually, there's a couple other zips you can do. Unfortunately, the one in Crushers I think is actually a little slower, even though it looks cooler than just doing it the way that we've seen.
Prisi does a different balloon there in that first screen. You have to kind of slow your movement down with the normal strat, with like a high jump to spawn an enemy a little bit higher so you can slide under him. Prisi places a balloon instead, which kind of has the same effect, but I wonder if the balloon causes more lag than the time saved from doing a smaller jump. But I don't see anybody else do that.
Balloons are so huge that pretty much any time you can do something where you despawn a balloon is a good idea. And actually, I've been messing around with Checkpoint Room of Bright, where if you place the balloon slightly before the first cricket, like further back than you normally do, and you wait just a beat on the balloon, the weight of Mega Man causes it to go down into the cricket and despawn that balloon. And if you have a nice tight slide, you can set it up to where you save some decent frames on lag if you despawn that first balloon.
Sure. Okay, beco maintaining a slight lead here. We'll see what Skullman has to say about that. I think that's a frame-perfect shot that beco does when he goes into these rooms. Just for fun. Just because you can.
Yeah, we saw it at the beginning of Dust too. It's pretty fun that he's going for that. And as I didn't see it, but Fatso mentioned earlier that he kind of teased the spike slide like he was going to go for it, and then kind of pulled out. That's another strat that is interesting. It looks crazy in that you ought to be saving a ton of time, but it actually only saves about a third of a second.
Yeah, that's Mega Man 4 in a nutshell. So we got about a 3 or 4 second lead for beco here. Dive's the fun stage to watch. You see a lot of variance between the runners just because you have different skill levels for mashing the whale and different techniques for people doing slide cancels versus not, and stuff like that. So I feel like you see a lot of variance in this stage. It's small variance, but like definitely not scripted.
I think it's interesting. After I had watched Baron's theory task, one time I was practicing, and Baron came in, and he told me some interesting stuff, like that the movement speed, I think, vertically in the water can be random, like it can be slightly faster or slower. And that's something I didn't know. And then he also told me like weird things will cause lag and weird things will prevent lag that you didn't think would happen. So there's a lot of weird stuff going on.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but the last screen of Dive, trying to get that extra slide in, I find to be so difficult because the lag just feels completely random. So like trying to nail your slide chainings perfectly is rough.
Definitely, and there's times too where it feels like for me that the lag isn't slowing me down as much as I think. So I'll chain later, like I'll see a bit of walking, and that happens to me sometimes too in the sand in the second screen of Pharaoh, where I don't know why, but just going through it, kind of finding the chain, finding what I need can be a little.
Both runners getting the extra slide there, but we did see beco miss a slide chain a little bit there. He's somewhat vindicating me.
I like the little one, like in Toad, I think too. There's a little one you can do, like as you're coming up to the edge, you can get that little extra baby slide, and something it feels nice. There's also I've seen Shelny, and I've tried to do it in Checkpoint of Pharaoh. You can hop just a little tiny hop off of that first ledge, and it lets you get another slide on the platform right below it, which kind of moves you forward a little quicker. It actually adjusts how you have to take care of that first bat because a little bit of a sneak in there.
Yeah, definitely. beco got the animation skip there, and Prisi didn't. I think the one in Dive saves more time than the Pharaoh one. I think it's a couple seconds.
I think the Dive one is pretty crucial.
So we're about one drill man dive apart, something like that.
Yeah, pretty crazy going into the 7th stage of the game to still be.
Yeah,
that's where
you see these like little tug of war push and pull, and then all of a sudden you get to a boss that can just completely push it one way or another. The drops in this section here are really difficult to deal with, I feel.
Yeah, I feel like the movement is pretty tight, right? So the drops can definitely, you have to respond very quickly. I feel the checkpoint room, not the checkpoint room, but the lag room in Dust is kind of like that too, where if the drop might happen very quickly, and you have to just have the reflexes and the memory muscle.
beco's movement was better than he thought it was there. He was trying to shoot to do another flash stopper, but it turned out that his first one was currently active. I guess we didn't talk about that in this one, where the flash stopper has a set duration that it lasts, but that duration doesn't tick down as you slide. So if your slide chain is really good, you can make it last quite a bit longer. And that's a definitely a good movement test for that last screen. You can do it in one flash if your movement is really tight. Oh, beco got him right as he was about to dive.
It's scary when you see him turn to face.
Yeah, it's like, no.
It could be like that drill.
I think prisi got 2 extra dives there. So beco extends his lead with a better pattern.
Not sure if we mentioned, we've talked about the skips, when you jump to the center of the screen, but for those that don't know, there's a special place you can stand in the center that lets Mega Man zip right to the collection. Otherwise, he has to walk to the center. Even if you're slightly off, he has to get to that middle place and then jump to the ceiling and down. And so waste some good time if you're not there.
Yeah, just by learning the pixel, you save, I think, like 8 seconds over the course of the run, even if you don't do the jumps to the middle and the 2 stages where you can.
Right, for sure. Definitely adds up if you're not getting them.
And there's like a weird subpixel thing where you can't always get the pixel you're looking for, so you have to be able to recognize that quickly and do a little quick slide and cancel it in order to actually find the pixel if you're on a bad subpixel.
Depending on what you do too, I think if I understand it correctly, if you're on one subpixel, you can face one direction. If you're on the other subpixel, you can face the other direction. So depending on what you already find yourself in, like if you're not in the right place, I think you can kind of just set up for facing the other direction if you know it and have a good cue. I typically, but
yeah,
sometimes I'll get it, like I'll be on the wrong subpixel and I don't fix it. So I end up facing the other direction by accident or something like that, and then I still get it, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. It's the same pixel always? Yeah, that's something that's definitely, like, I don't fully understand. It's just kind of like that's the way it feels. So I don't want to speak with any true authority on that. As Cassius says, there's no direction you can look. Okay. So I'm just plain wrong. So thank you for letting me.
Do you know the right and left facing subpixel for every stage?
There are some that I prefer.
Yeah,
facing
definitely the same.
When I moved to CRT over emulator, it was definitely this case of, which subpixel can I easily, or not, which one can I see? Which direction can I find a cue that works for me? Because it's a little bit blurrier on my TV than an emulator where it looks a little crisp.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen that kind of trouble from runners doing a run at GDQ, just being kind of unfamiliar with the TV and struggling to find the pixels because it just looks a little different than they're used to at home.
Sure. In my experience, it was eye-opening to play on a really nice monitor with like a retro tank, or I think it was OSSC hooked up, the works. I was like, whoa, like I didn't know it could be like this. So I thought, to switch it up, but I still do like playing on CRT.
Yeah, I still haven't really tried the retro tank.
Yeah, I had picked one up, and I got the HD Retrovision cable, and it works pretty solid with the Super Nintendo, but I don't have an RGB NES quite yet. So.
Gotcha. Alright, well, going through Cossack 1, I think beco's got something like a, 8-second lead.
Yeah, he's pretty comfortable right now. If he just plays a nice, solid, safe game and gets decent luck, he should be okay. But, if it's 8 seconds, it's 2 dives from drill, so...
Yeah, or one Cossack, or a square machine pattern.
Right, with some not-so-great luck and some good luck for prisi if prisi would overtake.
Yeah, prisi's despawn was really good.
Yeah, the despawn actually I started moving away from because of the jump back to get it ends up being slower than just going forward and striking the Skeleton Joe on the way down and then switching to balloon and jumping up.
Yeah. Yeah, Chony's been beating the drum on that one for a while. The people are losing time with those despawns.
Yeah, well, I found that that's just how it and it was him that told me, so it's funny that you say that.
Yeah,
He
that's like a crusade of his.
played the drum, and I responded to the call. I played around with it, and I found that it was faster for me in the end because I wasn't getting like the quick turnaround fast.
Yeah, you have
Fast
to, like, to really save time with it, you want to use the ice physics instead of jumping backwards.
I find that's how it was in Diveman when I was trying to do the slide cancels at first, is that I wasn't creating any actual significant horizontal movement. I was doing just a brief slide and then canceling and jumping, so it would have actually been faster to just jump because I was basically staying in the same place but doing a bunch of extra movement.
Yeah, I see that a lot from people that are like just getting into Mega Man 6. They'll do really, really short slide cancels, or cancel really early to the point where it's like, well, might as well probably not have done that. But, you know, you got to start somewhere, and to some extent, sometimes I'll do a strat that I'm currently slower on. Just by having it in my run, I'll get faster at it through repetition.
I had that experience in practicing where I discovered that my strat was fine. I was just slow. I just wasn't good at it. So just with working on it, it ended up being fast. But it was funny to me. I was like, why am I so slow here? And then I just realized, oh, I need to just do it better.
So solid Cossack 2s here. Let's see what kind of square machine patterns we get. Opening 3 for beco.
Yeah, not very nice square machine. These races so far.
prisi gets an opening 2. Picks up a little time here. See what the second one looks like. Did beco hit iframes there? I don't see that too often. So prisi got 5 hits on the first cycle, and beco got 4.
Does he get a 3-3 again? Wow. You know, the 3-3 is it's not even the most common. It's just frustrating.
I think prisi got 3-2.
Oh.
So I think they both got 3-2 there.
Okay. 3-2 and a 2-3? Okay.
Sorry, I'm using the commutative property or whatever the property is. Allows you to switch the numbers.
I have one of those fancy things called an education that I hear about.
Oh, man.
Try it someday for myself.
The great thing about education. The great thing about education is when you get far enough removed from it, it just makes you sound stupider because you think you know more than you do.
Definitely. I think that is just definitely one of the biggest umbrella that if you're under it can really hurt you, is being afraid to be corrected. I try to be aware of not talking about things I know I don't know much about. Like, I just try to, say, hey, if you know more, let me know, because I, like I'm in a place to listen, I think, at this current level of knowledge.
What's your favorite thing about Cossack 3?
Not dying in it when...
Oh, man. That's a good answer.
I mean, honestly, that's how I feel. I'm not being cheeky. It's very nice when you make it. It can be easy to get complacent because it's a nice little breather after the first 2 stages. But if you take too much of a breather, in my case at least, it's easy to die. And dying in an event, I think, is unfortunate. I've had it happen maybe once or twice, and it's the good old duck fist or Chelny sort of. And now slightly toad exposed to have done it a few times at least.
Yeah, and then you got an extra minute to fill of commentary. You do the auto-scroller again.
Sometimes when I'm doing commentary for runs on this stage, I like to do fake donations. I think I did one with that when we were commentating earlier, where we had a donation from my grandmother praising him and being so glad to see him go far and for his success. That success, like, completely ignoring me, like, so just all kinds of shenanigans. That's one that's probably funny to me, but no one else is probably.
like getting a kick out of it.
beco gets the lag gear pattern there.
Yeah, you can either get the one shot or all the bullets, and unfortunately all the bullets slow you.
I feel like beco had a nice last shot there where he kind of dragged it through the hitbox while he was in iframes a little bit so that it despawned, the Pharaoh shot despawned quicker. So he probably got a little bit less lag on the kill there.
Seeing, I think Baron put a video out recently of if you kill him slightly left to center, there's like a sweet spot where if you get him there, it's faster than letting him get to.
Yeah. In particular, I think what he was demonstrating there as well was that like killing him as fast as possible is actually slower than letting him stay alive and letting him get towards the center. Just because of how slow those bubbles track off screen, and since the fanfare doesn't start till they all leave.
Gotcha, that makes sense.
You never really think, oh, let me kill this boss a little slower.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's those times where you have to be patient can be tricky, like, so I forget the other thing. I was gonna say Cossack Catcher though is one of those things where I actually prefer him moving right away in Rockman 4 because I feel like knowing that and trusting on that it's easier to be more consistent with it than in Mega Man 4 where he's pausing. You know, having that wait I think actually makes it a little more difficult to control, at least for me, than having him move right away.
Sure, that makes sense. beco's been maintaining about the same lead here. We're seeing, a little bit of time saved or lost here or there based on some execution and some difference in strats, but mostly they're just having very, very similarly solid runs. Nice fight for beco.
Yeah, something too I feel like that made a bit of a difference for me, especially in my Pharaoh fight and then in this fight, is that you can release Mega Man's charge slightly before he turns
Yes.
green. My old cue for that was the green. So, but once especially in the Pharaoh fight, once I got really familiar with that, the control of hitting him was my rhythm for the charge shots was much faster, and it definitely made a big difference.
Yeah, it adds up a lot over time because if you're doing a charge shot fight, you're doing 9 of them. So if you're 10 frames late, for instance, on all of them, that's a second and a half you lost on one fight.
Sure, that was definitely like that first room of bread I was mentioning earlier, kind of an eye opener of aha, yeah, this is making a difference for sure. Paying attention to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like anticipating when the charge will be ready, rather than using a visual cue, like you said, of seeing the flash.
For me, I don't specifically use an audio cue, but I find, for instance, like if I'm doing lots of save state practice and playing with music, that it's harder to do. Like it's
Okay.
like my rhythm might be tied to kind of how it sounds, maybe, but I don't specifically listen for any kind of sound. I just feel that it's hard to get for some.
beco ended up in the alcove there. Held left a little too early, that's funny. Normally you wouldn't be hugging the wall there because you'd have to be going around a bullet, but he missed a jump earlier, so it's just one of those situations you don't usually find yourself in. And so he was probably holding left out of, I don't know, habit, I guess?
Yeah, that's definitely a thing.
So yeah, prisi's definitely picked up some time in this stage.
I've heard someone, I forget who it was, call this stage the stage of small mistakes. I feel kind of like Skullman, I feel like, where the chance of like sudden death is not as high as other stages, but there's a lot of little ways to bonk things or mess up a strat, like where you have to climb more ladder than you intended.
Absolutely. Death by 1,000 cuts in this stage. We saw a little difference here. beco jumps into the room so that he can get a 5 hit on a slow cycle. Prisi does not. So if he gets a long cycle, he still gets the 3, but he's gotten 2. He got all short ones, right? Yeah, so Prisi gets an extra Met Daddy cycle here.
Yeah, there's a deceptive amount of RNG in this fight. There's some more obvious RNG with how long he'll delay with opening, or with the cycles of like whether he'll be open longer or shorter. But he can actually delay the time in between when he opens as well. and you know, so it's kind of subtle. I feel like I didn't realize that was even going on until my time got better, and I was like, why am I losing time in meta? And it was like, oh, because he can, like Capsule, he can, you know, when he appears is, you know, variable.
Yeah. Speckles lead up to about 7 seconds again.
That back D boost was so tight that beco just did. I thought he wasn't gonna get it. I was like, oh yeah, I thought when I saw him going for it, oh, he goes the other way, not the back D boost, and then he got it, and I was just wow.
As late as possible. I like Prisi's little extra slide he does before the jet jump at the end of that screen too.
Before the saw, I didn't catch him do it.
Yeah, before the saw, and then he jumps over and summons jet.
It's funny because I was doing that slide beforehand, but the trade-off for me that I wasn't paying attention to is that I was summoning Rush Jet very late after that to be safe,
yeah.
and that was time. But then really paying attention to that helped. That was another minor optimization for me, and you know, it's not quite so minor, I guess, when I really began to pay attention was, you know, summoning Rush Jet, like when I can get to him and begin jumping again. Ooh, that was a cool strat by Prisi.
I love that. That looks so good. No! That's a bad death.
Brutal.
Right before the door, and oh, yeah, that sends you back.
One of the worst places to take a death is, you know, in the boss or right before. Or before checkpoint. I think in my least favorite, one of my least favorite is in Drill, you know, in the screen with the turrets dying in there. You know, you just wasted a bunch of bright ammo, have to go back to the beginning. It's just frustrating.
So we brought up in game 1 that Prisi didn't do single block slides there. Obviously, probably being aware of the fact that he was ahead by quite a bit. And here, knowing that he was slightly behind and, you know, wanted to try to make up everything he could, it just ended up paying for the tight movement a little bit.
Yeah, it's interesting we got to see that cool, you know, Rush Jet strat, but yeah, unfortunately, after making it through, just his jump was a little too short.
So yeah, if beco is aware where he's at now, then he should know that, you know, all he needs to do really is just avoid a death. And he has a really good chance of forcing game 3.
Just some clean skiing from here will take him to the end. Something I was trying to mess with recently too that I saw Chelny was doing was taking intentional hits on Pharaoh to keep a tighter rhythm on the dust hits, which is, you know, if you can count on not really getting hit later, then, you know, good luck. Like, and I think that beco was missing some hits there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it looks like he's short on ammo here.
And maybe you can explain it better to me than I understand it. But I see people going for 3 hits on Skull sooner, and is that just so that way they can get better iframe?
You know what? Actually, that's a strat that was developed after I stopped playing. I think I'm actually not sure how that one works.
Okay.
Yeah, someone in chat probably knows that one.
Cool. Yeah, I've tried playing with it a little bit, and I guess it makes him jump sooner, so maybe it triggers his skull shield. I don't know.
For some reason, I think it had to do with like. Actually, I don't know. It might have to do with iframe coverage, or it might have to do with like despawning your Dust Crusher sooner.
Yeah.
So which allows you to have better iframe coverage, but I'm not exactly sure. I think that was the point though, is like try to get into the middle as soon as possible.
Yeah, that would make sense, is to get your Dust Crusher out of there sooner, because you can't fire another one until all the particles are off the screen, which is kind of annoying. It has its own rhythm for that. Pulling Drill out in the, you know, next to the wall is good too.
Oh man, thought I was gonna start circling him.
off left particle. That makes sense on the third shot. And it's actually funny learning that strat. That's the hang up for me, and getting it consistent is getting that shot after. I think it's the third, maybe it's the second shot where you're jumping to like the kind of first third of the room, before he'll jump really far. Whenever I'm doing it, so yeah, it's that shot where I'm trying to get the shot after that I don't get it before he shields, because it's difficult for me to.
Beautiful dust. It's actually really hard to manage a lot of dust patterns in the refight, since you're trying to like work him to the left and stay on his left side.
Something I didn't incorporate till much later. I forget who it was that told me, but they're like, you want to try to hang left so that way you can get out of there right away. And that's something too, like in refights, because it's such a long stage. It's another one where like controlling your buster charges. That like if you get out of the room like as fast as possible because of all the lag in the room, that saves some time over the 8 bosses. Beco.
It was like 3 drill misses there, but good enough. Just needs to stay alive. Oh yeah, prisi is very short on. Wait, he skipped the big refill? I missed it. Because I saw one of his practice runs early. He skipped the alcove just because of like all the changes that have been happening in refight routing. Just kind of got mixed up in between strats. And so he didn't have enough ring. And so this is the same thing, I guess, but for a different reason. I don't know any strats in which you... Actually, I don't know about skipping the big refill. I can't remember any ones that do, but...
Yeah, something actually I think that I am not as keen on as I ought to be is the ammo control for the refights, like approaching, or just throughout the castles in general, to like save a bit of time on being really tight and specific.
That said, prisi did get practice during his warm-ups on doing Buster on machine. Alright, beco just needs to not run out of Pharaoh here. And he got it. GG.
GG indeed. Pretty solid run, 3740. Wasn't prisi's first run 3742? I think.
Was it? It was 42 or 48? I can't remember. It was in the 40s for sure. But yeah, kind of got a little bit of a reversal from the first one. prisi probably going to end up with a pretty similar time to beco's first time. Capsule's not being too nice in these fights, is he?
Scary.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure he was going to get a delay at the beginning.
Yeah, very, very similar times, but just in reverse. I think beco had a 38 4x in the first one. Well, we're going to get game 3. This is going to be the one where they're both deathless. I can feel it.
Pretty sure both of them know, they have one under their belt, and they've had, some experience already with 2 runs, so they might be, in it. So we'll see.
But yeah, GG to both. We'll start getting set up for game 3. We had to get a game 3 because we've been denied the super close race that definitely I expected coming in. Yeah, Clipper's right.
All right, and we should be getting to go. It looks like beco needs a snack real fast.
Yeah, him and me both. It's a smart man.
Yes, but he plays a powerful game, so he's burning all these crazy calories doing
Oh man,
a load.
I'm really happy to see a game 3.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting too that it was still really close up until the end. Um, and it's I feel it's easy to take for granted at their level. As we're doing the second race, how close and crazy and how good the times are. But it's just kind of that's what they do. So.
Yeah, I again these two just always show up. So it's nice that it'll come down to just win or go home. We didn't get a 2-0. And the what's at stake is a place in the finals. So yeah, they're gonna be giving their best here, and I'm sure it's gonna be a good match. Like I always expect so much from these two, and I'm very very rarely disappointed.
For sure. I'll actually take a moment before they start to talk about how we have another race later. It's the Kalinka Cup. It's the final between Wader and Resisting Frame. Those are the runners that didn't qualify for Cossack Cup that are doing the other cup. So that's going to be a good match. Both runners are solid. I would say they're like advanced runners, respectively. They have good times. So it'll be fun to see. And then also the Matcherino. I'll post the link in chat here. This is the prize reward money for the winners that we're going to be doing. Currently, the pot is at $574.80. Big thanks to everyone who contributed. If you'd like to contribute, please use the code Cossack Cup 2020, capital C's. I'll post that in chat as well. There's prizes. Contributing automatically enters you for a chance to win one of the prizes from our giveaway. I have some super crazy cool prizes. Figurines, collectibles, some of the Game Boy Mega Mans, just some shirts, all kinds of cool and fun stuff. So definitely consider contributing, getting on that list, and then we'll do a giveaway stream later after the tournament concludes.
Yeah, it's nice to see the generosity of people contributing and giving all these runners something extra to play for.
Pretty cool. I think it's fun. Raises the stakes a bit.
Sure. Winning a tournament is definitely its own reward, but it's not bad to have a little payout on top of it.
Oh, for sure. I think it's mostly a nice bonus on top of this what's already just so super cool. And yeah, it's amazing. I didn't think the pot would get to where it's at, but definitely everyone's come out to try to show some love to the runners and some support and make the prize super cool for their hard work.
Yeah, that seems to be the standard surrounding the Mega Man community. Just a lot of really really generous people that like to pull each other on. Yeah, Prizzy's little jet jump corner jump strat there. Again, kind of a middle ground between. So the fastest strat there would be jumping up and doing a corner jump, which is pretty difficult. But I think what Prizzy does is faster than the kind of standard strat of going around to the left, or at least it looks like it would be. You see Prizzy practicing where he had his death in the last run. Haven't quite seen prisi nail that taco trash fight. Had a little issues with it both times. We'll see how that goes in the third one. That's definitely one of those places where he gains an advantage over beco if he can nail the more difficult strat there. We should be set to start up here pretty soon. One of the runners is just getting a little snack to energize for Game 3. But it shouldn't be too much longer.
Quick shout out to the people who contributed material prizes. I believe Squid's doing some art. Mad Mega sent the Robot Master Field guide, which is super cool. And Mega Man 1 and 2, the cartridges. So we have Mega Man 1, 2, and 3 cartridges as prizes. And then shout outs to Biddy Kong too, that the one of the prizes too for winning is the Rockman 4 Tournament Edition cart, which I'll show off here. Not on the stream, but on one of the streams, prize streams. Super cool. It's a gold Famicom Rockman 4 cart with a custom label, custom box that mentions the runners and what they're up to. And in the manual in the back has a list of everybody that raced. So for qualifiers and for the cups. So super cool. Yep, looks like beco's back, so we'll probably get started here soon.
This is it.
This is for a shot at all the marbles. Getting some of the marbles on the way up, but this is the final one.
Like, you can't win all the marbles unless you have some marbles to play with, because then you just don't even get in the game.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Bring
How marbles works? I haven't played marbles. That seems like a game from like the 20s or something.
Yeah, watch there be like a pro marble player in chat that's like, actually,
I offended somebody, that's for sure.
There's somebody out there that's like, why? Misinformation abounds.
It is the 20s. Oh no, it's coming back.
I mean, we're playing Mega Man 4 today. We're not that far away. I'm just kidding. Would you believe that Mega Man 4 came out the same year as Super Mario World for Super Nintendo?
I don't believe it.
It's true. 1991.
Yeah, it's a different time for Mega Man. Because I know Mega Man 3 was 90. I think Mega Man 2 was 88. But I think Mega Man 6 was 93. They came out very, very quickly. The gap between Mega Man 10 and 11, I wish was that short.
Yeah, that was quite some gap. But I think Mega Man 7, Mega Man X came out the same year. I think they were kind of worked on side by side, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to me.
And here we go. Yeah, it is wild though that they did do that. That you had two different teams, maintaining two different series. You would think and expect them to just move on to X, with what they were doing, but nope, they kept both, which is cool. I'm glad for it.
All right, let's see what grasshoppers we get here.
Small for the first, getting that cool D-boost strat and a big jump.
It's really that last grasshopper that'll save you the time. Because he gets the better one there.
Yeah, there's also the you can go for a jump off of that second cricket off of a small jump, but I think it's like a 4-frame window. It's very scary.
That's easy.
Yeah, I see. That's exactly why I go for it in events, and that's exactly why I fail it every time. Because I'm like, oh, I'll get it. I get it all the time. It's in my hands. I got this, and then I just mess it up.
I feel like this game has a lot of strats like that. It's really, I don't know, I'll be honest, a big part of the reason why I'm not in this tournament is because a lot of the more fun strats for me in Mega Man 4 are things that I wouldn't feel confident going for in a tournament setting. And it's interesting to see, you know, people throw in bright balloons, for instance, in their races, and stuff like that. The short grasshopper jump would definitely be another one of those for me, where it's like, I feel really confident in getting this in runs, but is it really worth throwing away a tournament race over something like this? It's such a small save. And the alternative to a lot of these strats is really just waiting, which is not as fun.
Yeah, and in my experience too, I feel like it's, even though a strat may be more dangerous, I feel that I'm so much more familiar with it than something else that I want to grind, that I feel like it's actually much more safe for me to just do this thing that I know how to do, that I do reliably, than go for. I actually the most recent thing that I played in, I actually switched to coil to make it over the pit to get balloon, and I fell in the pit. And
yeah, if you're not familiar with it, or if you haven't, if you haven't done it as much as the other strat, it doesn't make it any safer.
Yeah, there's also in the relay that I played in with Sage and Riley for GDQ, and Cossack 1, I fell on the triple balloon ladder screen, and then later Spike Vegeta's doing the interview, and he's like, you just came back from that, got some ammo for balloon, and that, it looked like you just, went on. It looked like some pro moves there. Is that improvisation or practice? I was like, I don't know, I guess a little of both. Trying to, be chill about it. And then later, Fatso comes up to me. He's like, dude, you totally panicked. He's like, what was that? He was like, what were you thinking, man? Like, and he told me what to do next time. So, like, I like to say now, like with the people I hang with, I'm like, yep, some pro moves going on whenever I mess up. I'm like, you'll learn about this later. This is some high level stuff.
I loved that interview with Spike. I love Spike too, and yeah, it's one of those things where sometimes you get done with your run, and the people that know the run best are the ones that were on the stage, and you have someone interviewing you that may not know exactly what happened, and so yeah, you get some great questions like that.
Yeah.
Because like, how many times have you been in that scenario? Like, even the runner himself, like, I don't know, it's hard to put yourself in those shoes on a big stage like that and know what to do.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that is a drawback in my level of skill, is not having a diverse amount of strats that I'm familiar with and comfortable with, or to think, okay, well, this is definitely what I want to do if I mess up, and so I think I should investigate more thoroughly, as Musashi said.
Man, look at this race.
That's one of my. In his short book he wrote, The Book of Five Rings for Samurai, he says at the end of almost everything, you should investigate this thoroughly. Like, it just at the end of everything. And so I've always, whenever I'm at a loss, I'm like, I should investigate this thoroughly.
Good advice. I feel like we've gotten pretty normal Pharaoh patterns so far, and now we see him jumping around all over the place on both screens.
And sometimes he comes at you with that extra coffee, and
yeah,
good.
Beco in particular, like he didn't sit still for much of that fight. So you can see Prisi pick up a little time. Obviously, they hit the door just about the same time. Oh, there you go. And then it swings back the other way because Beco gets the skip. This is the exact reverse of what happened in the first race.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, it looks like hopefully we can expect another really close race. Might be a nail biter to the end.
I've noticed that Beco's stage selects have just been a hair faster than Prisi's. It's one of those things where, like, a wrong stage select is just absolutely a mistake you cannot make in this game.
I forget the race earlier. I forget, it was Mr. Cab and somebody else, but I remember they were both about to pick Toad, and both of them went, like, obviously slower than they normally would, and so I love that on both of their ends they were like, okay, we're not mispicking here, we gotta go into.
Yeah, you can't just go into the menu and exit back to stage select. You have to either complete the whole stage or game over.
I think the worst one that I've done is I was in a race and I got all the way to the end of dive and paused to switch to skull, and I didn't have skull. And I was shocked. I was like, what? And then it dawned on me that I skipped skull completely.
So you see Prisi did a slightly faster strat by deboosting early, taking a little bit of extra damage. in order to get that mini boss kill faster, and that actually caught him up briefly. Ooh.
Yeah, if you have the health for it too, like that jump deboost where you fall very quickly because I think you're taking it from the top. When it works for me, I've seen like a 20 frame save or so. But yeah, if you don't get bonked at the beginning and maybe pick up a small health drop on your way, you can maybe take a good safe deboost there and not have to worry too much about having to change stuff up later. Unless you get a health drop later and you're good.
Yeah. Okay.
Here we go. Yeah.
This goes the same every time, so it really shouldn't be, but you get here with such low health that any mistake and you're dead pretty much.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely one that you can't get too comfortable with, you know. You gotta kind of, you know, stay alert.
All right, 2-second gap. we've seen this in all 3 races. Like, their first 3 stages have been pretty much in lockstep. You know, not much variation. Even the last one where they were all over the place, they still ended up very close.
Right, their level of consistency is just wild, just absolutely nuts.
So here we're going to see the variation in strats. Beco's going to go with the slightly faster Pharaoh strat. Faster and a little bit more risky. And then Prisi with Flash Stopper.
I enjoy the Pharaoh strat. I think it's very fun.
It's very
satisfying.
feels very good. It's fluid.
I've been doing this little slide cancel after the 5th slide. There's kind of like before. Oh no, beco!
No.
Pretty scary.
Like I said in that first race, like this is a very scary stage. This is probably the place where you're most likely to die in the run, I think.
Yeah, it is definitely one of the most dangerous stages. Where those other stages we mentioned, where there's, you know, like lots of little mistakes. This is definitely a stage of just dying immediately in a lot of places if you make it.
Luckily, he does have enough Pharaoh ammo to just do the same strats. He missed. Oh my goodness!
Wow.
That scared me because there was no slide there. I thought he was going to come up short again. But
Yeah,
he's through. We're good. It is recoverable to, you know, still win the race after that death. It's not as bad as some of them, but he's definitely going to need a little bit of help from RNG or from Prisi.
Making it through crushers. Let's see what Dust wants to do for Prisi over here.
How do you feel when you're in a race and your opponent dies early and you know you have a 30-40 second cushion? Does that change your mentality? Do you even watch the other person? What's kind of your approach to that?
I think it makes me concentrate more because I feel like, okay, I have this. I need to maintain this. Like, as long as I play, you know, comfortably. I guess it actually it makes me want to focus more on being calm. Okay. If that makes sense. Because I want to, because I'm like, okay, don't get too excited. Don't go for anything crazy. Because if I'm behind, I feel like, you know, I feel like I can't spare anything. I feel like I need to play a little more aggressively because I want to count on maybe doing some things that they don't do to kind of inch up on them if they do make mistakes. You know, nothing to try to, you know, die, but I feel like, I guess, yeah, if I'm ahead, I'm like, okay, I want to just maintain, just, you know, stay calm, play the game, you know, maintain, just get out of there.
Yeah, I definitely feel it's very calming to know that you have a cushion. Skull's impossible.
Yeah. Yes.
This stage is so hard. It's really, really fun. One of my favorite speed stages in this game. Just the balloon tech on display is phenomenal, but yeah, another kind of death by 1,000 cut stage, I think.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot that can go wrong, and it adds up very quickly. Like stuff like that with beco, where you make the balloon a little too low. We had
Prisi miss the jump over the same guy, just like failed the same strat in a different way. Like there's just so many ways that you can lose a little bit of time.
Yeah, it's the game of operation, this stage version. Just don't want to touch any of the bones.
Casually, this stage has a couple jumps that are further than Mega Man normally asks of you as a casual player. Like
Yeah,
that
like
jump
that one.
there, and then the first jump over the pit in this last screen are a little absurd.
Yeah, definitely really big here.
In a speedrun sense, it's usually okay because you're sliding, and your slide carries you over the ledge a little bit and gives you a little bit more horizontal distance potential on your jump. But yeah, it's kind of a far jump.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, with that slide, it takes you all the way to the edge as long as you're focusing on Mega Man's backhand. So for those of you that are out there trying to make that happen, as long as you look at that hand and Mega Man's finger is on there, just like with his toe, as long as he's on there. Brizzy heading on into Dive Man. Shoutouts to Brizzy too for the tooth mash. So pretty fun stuff. I bit his style.
I get it. I see what you did there.
Yeah, these are the jokes. I got a book coming. But yeah, so it's I found that it was faster than me for me initially, but I think as I got better at mashing, if I had learned to double mash, I believe I could probably do it a little faster. But I was surprised to I was surprised to find that it was faster when I first tried it, which was just out of curiosity. And so I was like, this is fun and goofy. This is about my speed. I'll keep doing it.
Brizzy got a convert.
That's another difficult but satisfying thing when you get that whale in one jump. At least it's pretty difficult for me. But then you see Fatso freeze it low and jump and just melt it.
It's so impressive to watch. Double mash at work. Pretty with a pretty clean stage. Little issues with the first whale, but overall not too bad. Nobody went into the wire pit. That's good.
I don't know if you saw. It's worth checking out. But Ahmad and Mello played a really close match to the point to where they both fell into the wire pit at the exact same time.
That one was
and it was planned, but it looked like it was accidental for both of them.
Well, even though it was planned, the fact that they got there at the same time made it just incredible. It was, yeah, that whole run was, that whole series was really good. Definitely worth watching. Alright, Beco got the skip and Brizzy didn't again, so that's a couple seconds. He's just gonna need to, continue to claw away to make up this gap.
I hate that ladybug in the first screen of Drill. You can make it under even with a quick little swirl that it does, but it's very difficult.
So on the flip side, if you're behind, does that change your strategy much? Like if you take an early death?
Yeah, I feel like I definitely want to nail some tighter strats, and like especially like when I'm racing people of a similar skill level, I just basically have to count on the luck being good for me and bad for them, and I never want to hope someone fails necessarily, but I have to keep an eye out if I need to basically go for that consistency and maybe try to pay attention and nail some difficult strats that'll save me time, like maybe play slightly more aggressively as opposed to like when I'm ahead, like I feel like there might be a little more room to play it safe if I need to.
We saw Prisi in the screen before this one. He walked a couple platforms in case a drop could have, eaten his jump input. So just definitely playing smart with the lead here, trying to maintain it.
See what Drill has to say about it.
It's pretty crazy that a 30-second gap could definitely be made up entirely of RNG if one person got obscenely lucky and the other very unlucky. It wouldn't even take that much.
Right, yeah, and for these runners, it is definitely like that. I think it, as you're getting more and more experienced, that's the case for your races, versus having to, expect and rely on the mistakes you might make and the mistakes your opponent might.
Yeah, so like Beco could save 9 seconds on this. Not anymore. Yeah, Prisi got 2 extra dives. One of his own. Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah, it's just not very
That's,
spicy.
that's drill, man. So they both get 2. No ground to be gained there.
Did you know Toadman and Snake Man have a canon rivalry? Isn't that interesting?
I did not know that.
Yeah, because it's kind of a thing, I guess. Like toads and snakes in Japan, I think, with a lot of stories and lore. So I think they kind of don't like each other very.
I see. There should have been Doc Robots in this game.
That would have been. I mean, I like the idea of Doc Robots. I think it would be cool if the stages were a little more themed after the boss, but only in a way that maybe alludes and hints to who they could be. So it's kind of like, oh, this looks like that one stage. This might be this.
Yeah, I think you see that in some ROM hacks that have been made.
Yeah, I'd like to play some more. Oh, go ahead.
No. Just going through Toad. Toad's an interesting stage because there's definitely multiple places where you can die, but it's one of those stages, I think when you get it down, that I feel like I get right around the same time with this stage every time.
Yeah, I think with Flash Stopper stages, it's very consistent if you do it right. Because unless you get drops, because you're in complete control, everything is frozen and just it's on lock. I think there's a lot of other cases where even when it's not frozen, it's still very consistent. But I feel like it really, because nothing else is moving around, and I feel like it's a lot easier to just focus on having good, clean movement. And when you're able to nail that consistently, it's just a good feeling.
Okay, 1822 teleport for Prisi, so solid. Not quite as good as that blistering pace he had in the first, but still, comfortable mid-37 pace.
It's just so cool to me that's where we're at. I feel like before the tournament, this idea of breaking world record, I think seemed a little wild. I mean, given that for a long time, I think as far as people who could approach world record, it was, and I don't want to say that of myself quite yet. The more I play, the more I realize how far away I am from something like that. It's funny how that is. The more you get in skill, the more the gaps seem as you approach that final goal.
Yeah, grinding that last 5 or 10 seconds in a game can take longer than the first 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's wild how that is. But yeah, it's amazing to me now that it's like the rush for 36 is about to go down, just because we've been carving it down. So
I'm hoping we see that after the tournament, people continue to stick with the game and grind PB attempts of it. There can be a little bit of a fatigue when a tournament's over, but we've still seen some people continuing.
Yeah, I've seen in Fatso's streams. He's saying he's going for 36 in the title. I mean, he's aiming for. I know beco. Ooh. Someone mentioned in chat beco's going to switch to Pharaoh first. What happened? Oh, Prisi.
Yeah, I guess he had iframes. That looked really scary. That bone was coming for him. But yeah, I think it was a 24-second gap coming into the stage, which is really not that much.
Yeah, definitely. It's still very close in terms of what could happen in this game. As still yet as the first castle stage. I mean, we're only halfway through, so as far as stages. In terms of overall length, I don't know if we're over halfway.
I think Chony would be very disappointed in the Skull Joe despawns in this stage.
Yes, he's somewhere beating the drum very loudly, very angrily.
beco back off of that one. I don't have that much familiarity with that triple balloon strat. I don't know if he had enough iframes to get through, but he decided he didn't. Definitely don't want to get off the ladder there. That's a really big time loss.
My slow but consistent way is to make that balloon on the first ladder, climb up, walk onto it, and then wait for that first clamper to close to jump to do a back D boost. Whenever I wait for that clamper to close while I'm on the second balloon, I'm almost guaranteed to have the iframes to get through that second chomper without it opening or without losing them and having it bonk me. It's the most consistent way I've found to do it very fast. I've seen other people do that triple, and that might be faster than what I do. But for just feeling super safe, that's the one that I've been doing. But the fast one is to do the jump off that first ladder, I think, and do the balloon slides. And it's just wild. For as dangerous as this stage looks, I feel like it's actually, once you get it consistent, it feels really good. Like, I used to be super scared of it when I first started running, and now I'm kind of like, it's, it's fun. It's more something to be excited for than something that I'm like, oh, this might kill me.
Prisi nailing that damageless strat after the long spike room again. It's really nice.
Yeah, that's pretty spooky because you have to nail that first or that second balloon, or I guess it's the first balloon if you're using just the one. Like beco does the other way where you get on that first block.
Right. Okay. Clean stage for Prisi. See if we see even a single one pass in any of these runs. Oh, jeez.
Of course.
I mean, Square is definitely predisposed to giving you 3s and 2s, but you would hope in 3 runs you'd see a single one pass. We'll see.
Hopefully beco will be blessed with a good luck.
The patterns are definitely not weighted evenly. That's 3-3 for Prisi. And beco gets a 3 as well. We're seeing a lot of 3s today.
Yeah, it's a 1 in 10 chance for the first pass to be a 1, and then for it to be a second one, it's 1 in 100, I believe.
What a boss! So beco does lose a little bit of time here because he did hit iframes again. He also missed a dust shot. He had to use an extra one, so I think he used 2. So he might have to pick up an extra small refill in refights. Which isn't a huge deal, but something to be aware of in this game.
For sure. I mean, if you're not aware and you end up being at a loss for ammo, that's very unfortunate.
Cossack 3.
Yeah, what can be said except not much.
I mean, there's a fair amount of tech in the stage, but mostly stuff that people aren't going to go for. I mean, like, advanced tech of, like, trying to kill stuff as soon as it spawns and, weird junk like that. The most important thing when you're learning the stage is just making sure these turrets die, because if they stay alive, then they're only vulnerable for a very short time. You just got to know where they spawn.
I think those turrets and then the turrets in Ringman stage are my least favorite enemies.
Sure. Yeah, it's pretty funny how. Yeah. It's pretty funny how short that they stay open. It's just an absurd enemy.
Oh, we have a donation here from Dr. Wiley. It just says, "Please stop."
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's straightforward and a little sad, but
Greetings from Germany.
yes. I love that for as evil as Wily is, like in Mega Man 11, he wakes up from that dream in like these like cute skull jammy, like with the hat on and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some fun little story in 11.
Mega Man is the future where everything is adorable, but also capable of great violence.
Dr. Light definitely seems like the villain in 11 to me, though. Pot Doc gotta be comfy in your evil. Actually, I have a Pot Doc. Can I tell the story, the practice room story, when we were doing the rehearsal? Do you know which one I'm talking about? If Pot Doc clears it, I'll be brief with it. But So, clean fight for Prisi there. Got the fast pattern, too. You want your Cossack 3 to be uneventful, and Prisi's was. Looks like you're clear.
Nice. Okay, so we were doing the rehearsal, and Potdot played. It was me, Terex, and Potdot for our team, and Potdot played Mega Man 5, and Terex played Mega Man 6. This is the thanks story. Yes, it's exactly that story. So, so I'm watching Terex play, and behind him, Potdot is playing as well. He's holding his controller and doing all the same movements, playing along with Terex, you know, because he just knows the game like that. So he's playing with him, and then at some part, at one point, someone says to Terex, nice movement, you're doing good. And Pop Dot goes, thanks. And then and then Pop Dot's like, wait a minute. Like, I'm not the one playing. I like how he just
he hears nice movement and he knows it's about him. That's just Papa.
Yes, he's like, I am always spiritually playing Mega Man 6 anytime someone else is also playing, so I will just take the gratitude for everything.
So we saw Prisi use Coil this time instead of Balloon. We've seen him use Balloon in at least one of the previous races, so again, like playing to the fact that he has a lead. I also saw him do a really sweet micro slide in that stage. Like it must have slid for like 2 frames.
Beco. Yeah, Potdot, it was amazing. It was, we all cracked up super hard. It was really good.
Prisi dealt with another tough thing that Cossack Catcher can do, and that like you can jump up to try to hit a low pattern, and as you're going up, he starts going up. And Prisi recognized that and got him at the very top rather than releasing too early, which was a good catch on his part. Seen some mischarge shots on this fight.
That's always a bummer.
Yeah, it takes a while to get your charge going again. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's like somewhere in the neighborhood of like 1.5 seconds, or maybe a little bit less. But it's over 1 second, I think. Moving on to Wily, Prisi got a fairly comfortable lead. I think in his shoes here, like you can't get too complacent. You could definitely, you know, hemorrhage enough time to give up your lead without a death, but for the most part, you're looking for consistency strats and just trying not to die anywhere.
Yeah, definitely not enough of a lead to just go, okay, I got this in the bag for sure. You know, given the skill of both.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about like the drill pattern can be 12 plus seconds difference, and capsule can probably be about the same. Like, there's you have to at least give yourself the opportunity to not get beaten by RNG, you know, unexpectedly. You want to still play strong, but you see him like skipping the jump up to the top platform there. He does a little hop over and another one up, like sacrificing some time just to make sure that he doesn't, you know, jump too high into those spikes. This is one of my favorite things about, you know, tournaments, and especially late in tournaments, is the decisions people make given, you know, where what their standing is and what they think gives them the best chance.
Right, for sure. That grab on the ladder that beco did, I realized I was losing time because you actually have to wait just slightly so that way you get that extra little lift at the top of your jump before you climb on the ladder. I always used to grab the ladder way too early.
Oh, sure. Alright, so Prisi got 1 long pattern, so he should be good with a 3 cycle here.
Very nice.
Keep an eye on
I discovered not too long ago you can actually get the 5 hits on the short cycle. I thought it was only 4, but if you're real tight, you can get the 5.
Yeah, it's not easy, but it's definitely doable. I've got to be a little bit careful about his health, but he should get a 3 cycle here as long as he doesn't... Yep, he's good. So let's see, Prisi teleported out at about 11. That goes 37, so we got 26 seconds. Again, that is within range where RNG could bring the two even, but you wouldn't expect it. You probably still, you know, if you're beco, kind of need Prisi to make some mistakes here and there. But he's not given much room. Like, Prisi's been playing very well.
Yeah, for sure. The refights, I think, you know, that's that's where it's at as far as how the RNG is going to really kill it, unless something goes dramatically wrong in Capsule. I think if, you know, at the end of refights, depending on what that's at, unless it's really close, it'd be cool if it was really close, but we'll see.
Yeah, really surprised to have seen a death in all 3 races, with these two runners especially. But hey, you never know. It's a very difficult game, and speedrunning in general is a lot more difficult than people give it credit for sometimes, especially runners themselves. It's like, oh, this is so easy, why can't I just do this every time? And it turns out it's not actually that easy. We can be our own toughest critics for sure.
Yeah, that's something I think... Careful, careful, careful.
Okay. Alright.
I think speedrunning turned me on to the idea of strategic thinking and feeling. Like, not even in speedrunning necessarily, but like looking at it from the perspective of, you know, whether I'm feeling good or bad. Oh yeah, wow.
This is scary. There's no checkpoint here. Okay.
Wow, held my breath there for...
Okay. Prisi gets through. Whew. So he doesn't choose to go for the safer drill strat that beco does here, even with the big lead, because we didn't see it in the first match either, even with the lead. Something like that, strat, and he goes for it.
I love that in the same jump that beco fires that drill, he's also, I believe, hitting him with a ring, is or something. Like he's firing it on the way down. Like I don't, or the switch, like he switches and falls, and now I just. I'm sorry, you were saying something.
No. That's good. I was just rambling. So beco definitely made it up time in that stage. Prisi had a rough last screen, and then also his boss fight was an adventure, to put it mildly.
You can just imagine that at every small mistake, Prisi is saying in his trademark way, "It's over." Even when it's not, just at every little mistake.
Yeah. But I mean, he definitely clutched it out, staying alive in that fight, because he was in a perilous position for sure.
Yeah, I've played it very well, considering. Like, it was very scary.
Pro gamer moves.
Yes. He also makes pro gamer sounds, which is great. Like the like the yells.
I love Prisi sounds. Pharaoh not being super kind to beco, but he's dealing with it fairly well.
Ooh, missed about 2 shots.
Yeah, that's gonna
Does
be
he have enough?
No, I think he only has 6.
Oh. That's a pretty big dent, having the menu to Buster. Or Dust. No, wait, what do you switch to? Buster.
Yeah, he busted the last time, because this is the second time he's run out of ammo here. As long as you get him before that shield there, that's definitely something he's aware of how to do. By the way, I think a lot of people don't know this, but for the rain flush, when you're using it against Bright, you wanna throw it from the peak of your jump, because the flush happens after the projectile leaves the screen. I see a lot of people throwing it from the bottom, and it's a minor optimization, but if you have the opportunity to throw it from higher, you should.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. I also had that experience. I think it was Fatso in Wily 2. I used to jump down from the taco trash platform, and he was like, "Don't do that, because Mega Man will leave the screen much sooner if you're on the top." And it's like, oh,
yes.
That's fair.
Little things.
Also, here's something to know for people playing this game casually. If you go into Bright or you do Toad first, just shoot him with 1 lemon before you do Toad, and he will never or freeze you, rather.
So Prisi's execution on this refights has been solid. Definitely doing what he can to maintain this lead.
Yeah, he's got good health for Dustman too. You know, he's no crazy health losses.
Yeah, he's in pretty comfortable position here. Just, you can see, 1 fight ahead.
dust is good. Good so
Nice.
far.
Got him right as he was jumping there. That's a great fight.
Beautiful.
That's
Perfect.
Again, that's not super easy.
Yeah, wow, Dust being so super kind. Let's see what happens for beco here. Anything but like a perfect Dust is gonna hurt him.
And we see beco get the same pattern and was
Wow.
shot off there.
Remarkable that he does the same thing.
Yep. He's trying to be fair. This game is nothing but fair.
That's what Square Machine did too earlier, 3-3.
Yeah, it's just, this game's fair. Okay, Prizzi's through.
And here we go.
Between him and the finals. This should be a big enough gap where Prizzi would need to make some serious errors in this last fight.
Yeah, I think, you know, even without double hits, right? Like, like if beco gets a wildly good fight and Prizzi just gets single hits, like, I don't think with that.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody didn't see Almond versus Chelney's GDQ race, you can definitely see how Capsule can have a wild impact.
Yeah.
But I think this is a little bit too much. We'll see. You can definitely miss Pharaoh shots. You can start running low on health. There's some things that can happen here, but
yeah, if Prizzi has to do the pause trick.
See what kind of spawns we get. So no double there. Nice.
Ooh.
Wow.
There it is.
GG. Congrats to Prizzi.
GG. Congrats, Prizzi. Wow.
So the winning time in all three races was 37.4x. And GG, beco. Well, we got our closest race in the last one. Despite beco taking the early death, he definitely hung tough, and that was, you know... Without the death, actually, he probably had a faster time, but Prizzi was also playing safe because he was ahead.
Yeah, wow.
We got a full 3 games. That's great. You excited about the finals?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be wild. Ohan versus Prizzi.
That's gonna be a good one.
For sure.
But congrats to beco. He had a really strong tournament, as he always does. Got the world record during the tournament. Which has since been beaten twice, because this game is on fire right now. But, yeah, amazing.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see that 36. Someone in chat said beco's gonna switch to Pharaoh first after the tournament, so I hope that means that, you know, he's gonna be doing.
That's a lot of time to pick up.
Trying to see how we can invite Prizzi in here for an interview. There's a button I can click. I'm trying to find. Ah, here we go. Oh, it says asked already, so we might have. Oh, yep, I see Prizzi in setup. I don't know if we'll have beco join us. That would be cool if beco would like to. Alright, I think we can pull Prizzi in for now. Hopefully we can get beco in here. We'll see. Beco has declined interviews in the past, and so he might do the same here, but it'd be cool if he would think. But I'm gonna pull Prizzi in.
Sounds good.
Hey, how's it going, champ? What's up?
Oh, sorry.
You're good. Congratulations.
Yeah. What's up?
How are you feeling? What's up with you? Let us. How do you feel about all that? That was wild for us. I don't know how.
That tackle trash fight, man. Holy shit.
Yeah, we were so
what
scared.
What the hell was that? I should have died 100%. I didn't even know. It was just complete muscle memory that I slid into him. because I thought like, yeah, just do that because it's the fastest. And then I realized, oh wait, I have 3 HP or 4.
Because I've been talking about. Sorry.
No,
I've
yeah.
just been talking about how you must have known you were ahead both in that race and the first one because you played
Yes.
your runs differently depending on what the gap was, whether you were ahead or behind. And so it was really surprising to see you take your health that low.
Yeah, I need to refigure out that for my next race against Ohan. I don't want to be that low, and I don't even know why I did the rush jet thing in the last screen. I was just I don't even know. Just went for muscle memory, I guess, and yeah.
Yeah. So what was your mentality? Because obviously all 3 races were decided by deaths, which is kind of surprising for you two because you're both really consistent. But in all 3 races, you were dealing with kind of a large margin. What was your mentality, both being ahead and behind, on what your approach was for the rest of the race?
Well, the second race was actually the best race, not in terms of like movement and stuff and skill, but in terms of like nervousness. Because I was not nervous at all. I was like, okay, I'm behind. I just need to play like as fast as best as I can do. But like the first race and the third race, I was like, I'm ahead, so I tried to not go for everything. You can clearly see in my third race, I played really, really passive on like everything almost. Just like no slide cancels or like almost no slide cancels. A lot of like strats I tried to play very safe, and it's something that I don't like, honestly, and I might want to change that because it's not. I don't know. I would have lost so much time. I feel like if I play like that on that level, like going back on my strats and stuff, because I'm not used to that. I do attempts. I used to like go all out and stuff. So I don't know. But my mentality is just like, yeah, depends on where beco is. I try to like figure out what I want to do and whatnot.
That definitely worked out for you.
Yeah, kind of.
You only died one time in all 3 races.
I pushed really hard on that second race because I knew I was behind, and then
I wanted to ask you about that because it's you just left a jump short. Was the intention there to just keep your movement as tight as possible to make up that gap?
No, it was just my fault. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, it was still amazing. It looks like how do you feel moving into the finals? We were talking about earlier, Rockman 2 tournament, absolutely amazing, really cool, good stuff from you. You made it up to the finals. So you're heading into the finals now. What do you think? Like, what are your thoughts about going into Sohan?
I was very confident before my race against beco, and now I actually am very scared because like these times, even though it's 37. I don't know why. My first time was also like 37.48 or something. It's definitely like if Ohan plays on his best, it's not good enough. So I definitely need to play better. Yeah, it's I'm very excited for the race. Definitely looking forward to play against. I don't think I've ever done a race against Ohan or like a tournament race, at least. So it's gonna be fun.
That's super cool. I mean, yeah, you're definitely capable of taking it. I think both of you. It's gonna be wild. I think we all felt the same way about this match. I mean, all the finals, quarter and semi so far, and I'm sure the finals themselves are gonna be just absolutely insane. So
yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate that beco and we didn't put our best in because this is not our best. Definitely, we can definitely play better. But yeah, I'm glad that we actually got a third match in, and yeah, I was actually very nervous in the whole series.
Well, is it any more nervous going into a third game because it's like an elimination game, or is it just the same throughout?
No, it's definitely more. At least for me, I don't know what beco's mind was in, but I was like a little bit panicking. I was like, oh, pressure. It's a lot of pressure.
Well, you only have to do it one more time.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Yeah,
me
it's gonna
too.
be fun.
Yeah, this is really high quality Mega Man 4 we're seeing, and I look forward to seeing you in Ohan's best.
Yeah, I hope we can pull out our like very best. That would be insane. I think you saw it a little bit in the second race. I think that was the closest race. But yeah, hopefully no deaths and stuff.
I believe.
I believe too.
Cool. Well, if was there anything else you guys wanted to chat about, or any more questions we have for Prison?
Well, definitely thank you so much for commentating and for watching, as always. Thank you, beco, for that race. And yeah, I don't know what to say other than yeah, I don't know.
No, gratitude. Gratitude is good. I'm feeling that too.
One thing I want to get off of my chest is Square is a boss that I hate so much right now. Because I cannot believe, dude, like 3-3, 3-3, and 3-2 is, I think, what I got. I don't know what beco got. But...
This was similar. He was really a jerk to both you guys.
What?
It was awful.
What? And then I've been dealing with this bad luck, like, almost like the whole week in my attempts, too. Because, like, I don't know what's going on with freaking Cossack 2.
Yeah, he's definitely a boss in the video game.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow, awful. Truly.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
That's a good shout out. Shout out to how horrible Square Machine is.
Yeah. Shout outs to our mutual hatred. This horrible, horrible boss.
But yeah, congrats on the win. Looking forward to seeing you in the finals.
Thanks, man. Awesome.
Yeah, big thank you to SpeedGaming, doing all the levers and pulleys behind the scenes, taking care of us. KK for the awesome layouts. All of our runners in both cups and the qualifiers who put in work to do this. Prisi, thank you for being here. It's really exciting to see you play the game.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I'm glad you could come in and commentate with us. It's really cool to have someone of your experience and insight here to talk about the game with us.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I had fun commentating with you.
Yeah, it was a good time. And thank you to the viewers, of course, too. And everyone who contributed to the pot and the prizes and just everything. It's just been wild, absolutely fantastic. So I'm very pleased with how it's. So one final thing, I'm gonna go ahead. I see someone posted the challenge in chat. That's good. That you can check that out to keep track. There's also a SpeedGaming channel. Let me get that. That has the schedules once the matches are scheduled, so you want to keep an eye on that. Pretty straightforward. speedgaming.org/megaman4. Give me 1 sec. Yeah, challenge. That's what it's called. I'm not just being goofy. That's what it is. Although I am known for being goofy. And here's the Matcherino again. I'm gonna plug that again. There is the link, and I accidentally held down V when I hit Control for push to talk, and it just it's massively pasted in the chat. Yeah, that's the coupon code for Cossack for the pot Cossack Cup 2020. Contributing to the Matcherino gets you automatically entered into the prize giveaway. Just make sure to message me on Discord to verify your entry. I'll be keeping track of that as well, and hopefully, if you get a hold of me, I can let you know when the prize stream will be. We have some super cool prizes to give out: video games, shirts, collectibles, all kinds of fun stuff. So definitely check that out, and please consider doing that. Plugging Kalinka Cup, yes, for later today. Definitely check out the schedule there. Let me click that, and I can tell you. The finals match for Kalinka Cup is Resisting Frame versus Waiter, and it's at 10 p.m. EDT today. It's gonna be
today? Oh baby, I need to watch that. Oh man,
yeah,
Yeah, it's going to be good. Waiter's very skilled, and so is Resisting Frame. You might know Frame from Mega Man 6. Very, very, very good at that game. Super cool guy, very friendly. Waiter as well, very super cool and friendly, very good at Mega Man 4, has been working on it for quite some time, so it'll be a great match for sure. The day after, also at 10 p.m. EDT, there's Great John versus Venez. This is for bronze. So they're going to be playing it up, also good runners, so definitely check that out. And with that, what's the difference between the two cups? The Cossack Cup was the top 32 out of 55 that qualified in the qualifiers for the 32. And then the other runners could elect to participate in Kalinka Cup, which is another competition for anyone who wanted to do it outside of the top 30. All right, and with that, I believe that's it. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you later. Just keep an eye on the schedule for the Ohan versus Prisi match, and yeah, I believe that's it for us.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good one.